WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at yowan.com.
Hello and welcome to the West Asia Post. I am Ghadi Francis and this is WION's weekly show where we bring you all things new from the world's most volatile region. Benjamin Netanyahu has resumed the bloodbath in Gaza, Palestine. We have a lot lined up for you in this week's episode, but first, as usual, let's take a look at what's making the headlines. Starting with the bloodbath in Gaza, hundreds were killed in hours or few days after Benjamin Netanyahu resumed his war on the Palestinian Strip. Now, Israelis are fearful that even this will not save the hostages, and world leaders are warning that these strikes are taking the whole region one step backwards. We tell you more in this report.
Israel broke the 58-day truce and resumed its barrage on Gaza earlier this week. Israeli strikes left hundreds killed and many injured. Israel's renewed offensive threatens to be even deadlier and more destructive than the last.
Hamas already felt the impact of our might in the past day, and I want to assure you, and I want to assure Hamas, this is only the beginning. We will continue to fight to achieve all the goals of this war, securing the release of all our hostages, eliminating Hamas, and ensuring that Gaza will no longer pose a threat to Israel.
Right after Israeli troops returned to expand operations in central and northern parts of Gaza, Israel's far-right minister Itamar Ben-Gvir returned to join Netanyahu's government as national security minister. Amid the escalation in Gaza, Israel's far-right cabinet also voted to fire Shin Bet chief Ronen Bar. In a meeting with the cabinet, Benjamin Netanyahu stated his lack of trust in Bar, especially after Hamas's October 7 attack on Israel. Israeli media reported Netanyahu's message to the cabinet, saying Ronen Bar is soft and not the right fit to rehabilitate Israel's internal security organization. But Netanyahu's critics say the dismissals are part of a broader campaign aimed at undermining independent government institutions. Israel's opposition filed a petition against Netanyahu's decision to dismiss the security chief. In his letter addressed to the cabinet, Ronen Bar claimed that Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu purposely sabotaged the hostage deal. Bar warned his dismissal risks undermining investigation into Qatar's influence in Netanyahu's office. Attorney General Gali Baharav Miara, who was also present for the vote, also warned that the Israeli Prime Minister could not fire Barr before his motives to do so were examined. She also mentioned that sacking Barr could jeopardize the Qatargate probe. Critics say Netanyahu's move to restart the war is a diversionary tactic. Thousands in Israel are raising their voice against the Netanyahu government, claiming his decision to resume the war and sacking Ronen Bar are politically motivated.
We're very, very worried that our country is becoming a dictatorship, and we think our government is not serving the people of Israel and is not thinking of the important things that have to happen here. And they've kidnapped our country.
Protest against the Prime Minister and the government, which is acting against the national security of Israel.
The demonstration is about the dismissal of the head of the Shin Bet, a dismissal that is ultimately a pretty clear conflict of interest. Someone who is actually being investigated cannot fire their investigator, and that is exactly what is happening right now, and that is something that, in the end, he will appoint someone on his behalf, and then nothing will happen.
Hamas says the Netanyahu administration purposely overturned the agreement, adding to uncertainty over the fate of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners who were about to be released. World leaders of the UK, France, Saudi Arabia and the EU have warned that the escalation in Gaza could have dramatic repercussions in West Asia.
Israel's actions in Gaza are a clear risk of breaching international humanitarian law.
Israeli officials say targeting the Hamas leadership, which has re-emerged in recent weeks to again take control of Gaza, will bring about the release of more hostages. Many families of hostages refute this call. Israel now has capabilities it lacked 6 weeks ago. Ammunition stocks have been replenished, partly due to US deliveries. Adding to Israel's advantage is that its troops are well rested. Any prospects of a ceasefire now appear to be even further off, and the future of Palestinians even more uncertain.
The American President Donald Trump ordered to annihilate Yemen's Houthi rebels after the Yemeni Houthis targeted an American vessel in the Red Sea. Now, multiple strikes were carried on different areas in Yemen. They are saying that Iran is behind Yemen's stronghold. We tell you more in this report.
A new war front has opened in West Asia. The US and Yemen's Houthi group are trading fire. And US President Donald Trump says Iran will be held responsible for every shot the Houthis fire. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei came out in support of Yemen, saying the axis of resistance stands united against such threats.
Americans should know threats will get them nowhere when confronting Iran.
Washington has pledged to hit Yemen with lethal and overwhelming force till the Houthis stop their attacks in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. The trade route typically handles 12% of global shipping traffic. The US unleashed its superior aerial firepower this week, with FA-18 Hornet taking off towards targets in Yemen.
These targets included Houthi strongholds in Yemen,
including the Hodeidah Governorate on the Red Sea and Sada in the north, claiming several lives.
We were shocked by the sound of the explosions, and we never expected them to occur in this neighborhood, as it is full of civilians and devoid of any military points or bases belonging to any group.
The Houthis, who control northern Yemen, claimed on Wednesday they had launched cruise missiles at the USS Harry Truman in the Red Sea, calling it their fourth such attack in 72 hours. Opening another front, the Houthis launched ballistic missiles at Israel.
نفذت القوة الصاروخية في القوات المسلحة اليمنية.
The missile force of the Yemeni armed forces carried out a qualitative military operation, targeting an Israeli military target south of the occupied Jaffa region with a Palestine II hypersonic ballistic missile. This operation successfully achieved its goal, thanks be to God. This is the second operation within 24 hours.
هي الثانية خلال 24 ساعة.
Israel says the projectile was shot down by its arrow defense system over Saudi Arabia. But the barrage of missiles have not stopped, neither from Washington nor from the Houthi group. Experts say after years of fighting in rugged terrain and weathering thousands of airstrikes, Yemen's Houthi rebels are not to be taken lightly. In the past, the Houthis repeatedly hit neighboring Saudi Arabia, including its oil facilities, and in early 2022, they launched deadly strikes on the UAE. While the US and Iran are engaging in a war of words over recent Houthi attacks, the big question is, will the tensions widen the war in West Asia?
Let's go to Syria now, where there's a different kind of bloodbath. Minorities are in danger. Reports suggest that thousands were killed in the coastal areas of Syria. Clashes at the borders from the Lebanese side and also with the Israelis. And inside Syria, Kurds and Christians are now protesting against the constitution. We tell you more about Syria in the following report.
Syria is grappling with layered challenges that begins from politics and extends to its borders. Last week, the country witnessed one of its worst mass killings after the ouster of Bashar al-Assad. Latakia, one of Syria's key port cities, witnessed a surge in violence. More recently, ordnance from Syria's 13-year conflict exploded in the coastal city, killing over a dozen people. While Syria was reeling from a string of sectarian killings, Damascus faced brutal clashes along its borders with Lebanon and Israel. On Monday, Lebanese President Joseph Aoun ordered troops to retaliate against the source of gunfire from the Syrian side of the border. Lebanon's health ministry reported that 7 Lebanese citizens were killed and 52 injured in the clashes. Fighting happened after the Syrian regime accused Lebanon's Hezbollah group of crossing into Syria on Saturday, abducting 3 soldiers and killing them on Lebanese soil. Hezbollah denied any involvement in the clashes. Israel also launched strikes on Syria, claiming to hit Syrian military posts. Israeli jets struck Syria's Daraa and Homs province. Israel said it attacked military sites used by the Bashar al-Assad regime and could potentially be used by the new interim government. Inside Syria's borders, Kurds in Kamishli took to the streets to protest against the constitutional declaration issued by the new Syrian leadership. Holding Kurdish flags, protesters raised banners with slogans asking for the recognition of their rights.
A constitution that is generally rejected by the majority of the Syrian people, not only by the Kurdish people. The Syrian Arab Republic does not represent the aspirations of the diverse people. For example, the Kurds, the Turkmen, Assyrians. We hope to find alternative solutions and extract clauses on the rights of the Kurdish people and the demands of the Kurdish people for the sake of their just cause in Syria.
Last week, interim President Ahmed al-Sharaa signed a constitutional declaration drafted by experts, according to which Syria will retain Islamic jurisprudence as the main basis of law. Some Syrians and foreign powers are worried that Sharaa may impose strict Islamic governance or exclude some communities from positions of power in a country with numerous minority groups such as Druze, Kurds, Christians, and Alawites.
Now is the time for bold moves to create a genuine, credible, and inclusive transitional government and legislative body, a constitutional framework and process to draft a new constitution for the long term that is credible and inclusive too, and genuine transitional justice.
Critics argue that the new constitution concentrates powers in the hands of the interim president and fails to adequately protect the rights of minorities.
And now to a different part of West Asia, Turkiye, where thousands have been protesting after the arrest of Istanbul's mayor, Ekrem İmamoğlu. They are saying that he was arrested with charges of terrorism and corruption, but he is Recep Tayyip Erdogan's main rival. People are on the streets and it doesn't look peaceful in Turkey. We tell you more in this report.
Ahead of Turkey's next presidential election in 2028, Ankara is already in the eye of a political storm. On Wednesday, Turkish police arrested Ekrem İmamoğlu, Istanbul's mayor and the main rival of Turkey's President Erdogan. Turkish media said that the prosecutors issued warrants for İmamoğlu and 100 other opposition leaders. Also detained was İmamoğlu's close aide, Murat Ongun, and 2 other district mayors. İmamoğlu's wife says police conducted pre-dawn raids at their house and detained the mayor on what she called laughable accusations.
One can only laugh at such a thing. Such a thing is of course impossible. It cannot be. Such a thing cannot be. It is only laughable. There is a lot of wrong information going around. We all follow social media, don't we? For 20 days, a handful of people have messed up social media. They are horrible. Horrible. It is completely a huge slander. Everything will come out in the open anyway.
But right after the mayor's arrest, protest spread like wildfire.
What happened here today is not just a coup against the CHP İmamoğlu. This is clearly a civil coup. This is a coup against the entire opposition, a coup against the entire people. The will of our society, our people, was ignored. A coup was made today against a person elected by millions of people. A civil coup was made.
Crowds gathered outside the Istanbul police headquarters. Demonstrations turned into clashes with the police. Turkey's main opposition party also held a huge rally to protest Istanbul mayor's arrest. The main opposition said that Erdogan had abandoned democracy.
Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who lost Istanbul, would lose Turkey. Ekrem İmamoğlu, who won Istanbul, would also win Turkey. It is this state of mind, it is this psychology, it is this pettiness. He owes everything, every position he has attained to the people's decision, which he disrespects, does not recognize. Well, he had ridden the democracy train as far as it suited him. He would get off at the station that suited him. He got off the democracy train and joined the ranks of the putschists at that station.
The detention comes in the same week that İmamoğlu was set to be named the presidential candidate of the main opposition party. A day before the arrest, the government annulled his university degree, without which he cannot run for the highest office under the country's law. İmamoğlu joined Turkey's main opposition party, the Republican People's Party or the CHP, in 2008. 6 years later, he was elected mayor of a southwestern district of the Istanbul province. But İmamoğlu gained prominence in 2019 when he won Istanbul's mayoral polls. Initially, the outcome was annulled over allegations of irregularities. However, Imamoglu won by a 54.2% vote margin over Erdogan's hand-picked candidate. His victory ended the 25-year rule of the country's largest city by Erdogan's Justice and Development Party and its predecessors. Imamoglu went on to secure re-election as Istanbul's mayor in 2024, again defeating an Erdogan pick. This cemented his status as a rising star in Turkiye's opposition circles. Erdogan has been in power for over 2 decades in Turkey. The constitution limits him to serving a final full presidential term of 5 years. But to extend his rule, Erdogan could possibly change the constitution, which in return would require the support of 2/3 of parliament. The incumbent president currently falls short of this threshold, but could get across the line with the backing of the pro-Kurdish People's Equality and Democracy Party, which seems possible now after reconciliation with the Kurdish militia. Alternatively, Erdogan could call for snap elections and rule for 5 more years, considering his present term could be termed as incomplete. In any case, the detained Istanbul mayor is sure that the Turkish population will not fall for the lies, the plots, and the traps set against him.
Now let's talk about Iran. Iran has been using technology for surveillance. How? Listen in.
Iran is increasing its reliance on technology to increase its surveillance of women in the country, as hardliners push for harsher penalties for those who refuse to wear the headscarf. UN says Iran is increasing its usage of drones and surveillance cameras. United Nations probe found Tehran making concerted state efforts to stifle dissent, perpetuating a climate of fear and systematic impunity.
Surveillance online was a critical tool for state repression. Instagram accounts, for instance, were shut down and SIM cards confiscated, in particular of human rights defenders, including women human rights defenders.
The Islamic Republic has its own Nazer app that allows vetted individuals to report non-compliance in private vehicles. In September, it was updated to monitor women in ambulances, public transport, or taxis. UN reported Tehran and southern Iran used aerial drone surveillance to monitor hijab compliance in 2024. Iran witnessed a massive stage of dissent in 2022 after the death of Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old who had been arrested for allegedly violating the strict dress rule for women based on Islamic Sharia law. 2 months after the widespread crackdown, UN Human Rights Councils launched an investigation in Iran. The probe, which is wrapping up, has collected and preserved 38,000 evidence items and interviewed 285 victims and witnesses over 2 years. The agency's fact-finding mission says Iran's trajectory has shifted from extreme violence during the protests' peak to a silencing and repression that's ongoing. While Iran denies access to the UN mission, it remains to be seen how the moderate Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian chooses to respond to claims of victims and witnesses in the country.
And now let's go to Doha, where Palestinian women have been serving the traditional iftar meals. We are speaking about women who were evacuated from Gaza to receive medical treatment in Qatar. Take a look.
Palestinian traditions are from the days of our families and ancestors, from ancient times. On any occasions, we love local popular food, the maftool.
It symbolizes us, it symbolizes our life, our heritage, the Palestinian life, how we used to eat, how we cared about spreading culture and spreading our Palestinian heritage.
That's all we have for you on this episode of the West Asia Post. I will see you next week with a brand new lineup, always bringing you the most recent updates, news, and ground reports from West Asia. I am your host, Redi Francis, signing off. For more global news, keep on watching WION World is One.
Catch me on Token Money Magnet, only on WION.
This week on Tech It Out, we tell you about the latest developments in the field of robotics. We also show you a new AI model that can read animal expressions. And we take you on a tour of the Spacecom Expo 2025. This and more on WION World is One at these times.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Empowering the tokenized revolution. Tune in to Token Money Magnet, only on WION.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health.
Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yowon.com.
Vielleicht nur